Hey, and welcome to another wild and wonderful Liberty on Caffeine. The waters are receded, and it's time for our regular abnormality that we call Liberty on Caffeine. I want to welcome my regular co-host, Tom Herron, is back from the shadows.
Indeed.
And, of course, our local thug, Chad Caton, regular panelist, Steve Hoffman. Isaiah White couldn't make it in today, so we don't have his fancy coffee in with it.
Oh, man, that was hard to say.
I know.
I was really hoping I'd get that email so I could work on it.
We got good coffee right here at Fresh Brew, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Good coffee.
This is really good stuff. It really
Y'all
is.
have never been here. You need to try this place.
Oh, absolutely.
Great
Absolutely.
atmosphere.
Okay, October 5th. Today on this day, 1863, the Confederate sub David damages the Union ship Ironsides. So that's the first time, Navy man, that we had an actual submarine, I guess,
Attack.
take out. Yeah.
And for transparency, I was a CV. Just saying.
Oh, okay.
I don't want any of the Swabbies.
Construction Battalion.
I didn't want any of the Swabbies knowing that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. 1892, Dalton gang ends in a shootout in Coffeyville, not Cofavet, Kansas. Bank holdup. 1905, Orville and Wilbur Wright's Flyer 3 had a flight of 38.5 kilometers.
Why can't they just say miles?
Okay, because it's 38.3 inches.
This is 2 years after they had a
So that's
flight
not-
that was longer than that.
Yeah.
I don't- why
They
is
kept
that-
going back. That's 1910, Portugal overthrows the monarchy and proclaims itself a republic. 1914, World War I, first aerial combat resulting in a kill.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. My dad was a pilot. He'd love to know that little
Yeah, a little tidbit.
tidbit.
1921, present constitution of Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein, it
Is
sounds
there
fun.
still a Liechtenstein?
Yes.
Is there?
Liechtenstein
Okay.
comes into effect. 1932, actually, it's one of the more libertarian countries in the world.
Is it?
Yeah.
So if you're living there and you are one, then you're a Liechtensteinian libertarian?
Kind of. It's still considered a monarchy, but the monarchy surrendered to a libertarian model.
Laissez-faire
Interesting.
type government, hands-off government.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not also like the smallest country on earth except for Monaco?
No, Vatican.
What is?
The Vatican.
The Vatican.
The smallest country on earth.
Right, okay.
Check me out, guys.
Not bad for our local thug, you know? I mean, you know.
Thug had some knowledge.
Construction Battalion wood. Yeah. Okay. 1932, with new ownership, the Detroit Falcons officially changed the name to Detroit Red Wings, and the winged wheel was introduced from the previous name of Cougars in 1926 to 1930 to Falcons in 1930 to 1932. A
Wow.
lot of hockey fans won't, well, the five of hockey fans are
Wait, what'd you say?
hockey.
Easy. You're sitting next to the most rabid Washington Capitals fan on earth.
Of course,
I love the Caps, and I am very excited this year.
hockey.
Well, I'm a Milwaukee Admirals fan.
I'm gonna,
Wait till I show you. They have the most awesome jersey in
Do they
hockey.
really? Do they?
I am going to show you my jersey. It is going to knock your socks off.
I
I'm
think
an
what we
American
should do
fan.
is
There's
let me
too many
call-
Russians on it. Just
We
saying.
should-
I'm just putting that out there.
I understand that, but maybe some morning for our show here, I should have them bring the Stanley Cup down here.
Oh, that would
I mean,
be
they
sweet.
took it everywhere else in the world.
Well, absolutely.
Drank out of it, sat in it.
There's been some dirty things.
Unbelievable, man.
Don't they get to spend like a week with it if you win it?
They got to spend all summer. Every member of the Caps had
Right.
it for like a week or something. It was unbelievable.
There's some, that's a dirty cup.
They were
Yeah.
doing headstands, and it got all dented. They had to repair the damn thing. Yeah.
1947, Harry Truman makes the first presidential address televised from the White House.
Oh, is that the fireside chat?
That's probably
No, that was not the fireside chat. But really, the good news is I wasn't born yet.
born
I
yet.
can actually say that.
We're getting there.
Joe was. I met him yesterday. Joe, if you're watching it, I love you, buddy. But dang, you were going back in history yesterday, and I was like, this is real life.
Sweet. 1953, Earl Warren sworn in as the 14th Chief Justice of the U.S.
Yep.
I bring that up because everybody's going to wait on the swearing in of Kavanaugh because it's going to happen.
It's also an example of what happens when you pick a judge, because he was very conservative and ended up being the
Very
most liberal
Yep.
Chief Justice we've probably ever had.
Yeah. So, is
So
it a
you
lesson
don't know.
learned? No,
Yeah.
no one ever figures that out.
Yeah.
1953, the first documented recovery meeting of Narcotics Anonymous is held.
No comment.
Okay.
I got nothing.
1961, Breakfast at Tiffany's film was released based on the novella of Truman Capote, directed by Blake Edwards and starring Audrey Hepburn and George Papard. This date, October 5th. It is actually really a good, I guess you'd say a good audio-visual day, because we've had the first, blockbuster movies first
Right.
broadcasts.
Yep,
Yeah. 1962, the Beatles released their first record, Love Me Do.
Wow.
1962, all of us are going to love this.
Okay.
This
Dr.
is
No.
all on this date?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. No, the first James Bond film,
Right.
based on the novel from Ian Fleming starring Sean Connery and Ursula Andress. Oh my gosh.
The most perfect woman of all
Ooh.
time.
Elizabeth Caton, you're the most perfect woman.
Premieres in London.
True enough.
1969, this is a personal favorite of mine, Monty Python's Flying Circus begins airing on BBC TV.
There you go.
That is a great.
And now for something completely different. 1983, Lech Walesa wins his first Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay.
That's back when you actually had to do something that counted for peace.
True enough. Or at least have taken office by then.
Yeah, true.
Solidarity movement.
Yeah.
Right.
No comment.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, 2017, the New York Times publishes investigation into sexual harassment behavior by Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a year ago already.
Been a year, and now we're sitting there after what 8 bazillion women came forward on that,
Yeah.
had proof, all this other stuff documented, and so on, and then we're faced with all this other crud that's going on here.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part, that it's kind of been hijacked. The Me Too movement's great. Harvey Weinstein, you're a scumbag. But the documentation, the people that are standing up saying that this can't happen, it's a very liberal thing. I understand that, but it's not a bad thing. Women need to stand up and be heard and bring it to justice. I mean, it's Harvey Weinstein. I mean, it's very well documented, a lot of it, and it's sad that it's like that.
Didn't we have a president that there was documented evidence that he had attacked?
Something like that.
No, that was a pudding stain on that young
Pudding?
interns.
Pudding.
I'm thinking of a different.
Pudding, Jello
listen.
pudding.
I apologize. I apologize to you on the live stream. That will be edited. It's just
There's
blue dresses and pudding.
I have a really good friend that all of you know, but I won't mention any names here, that owned dry cleaners in Washington, D.C.
Aha.
And they put a billboard up during that time frame that had a picture of a blue dress with a stain on it and said, if you'd have come to. Yeah.
There you go.
I love catchy marketing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a sucker for it.
Okay. The first, it's no secret that we've had a little bit of weather here in the Myrtle Beach area over the last 2 weeks. And Chad has been doing wonderful work. I know he hates it every time I bring it up, with countless numbers of charities. Ward Wilson, what a fantastic kid. What a
Look at
fantastic
the
kid.
goosebumps. I mean,
I am.
Yeah.
I coach football, and to watch a young man that has so much integrity, and it was almost like I felt like I needed to protect him, because he was so about the mission and about the happiness of it. And when I was called out there to help, and we went down there with some firemen to move people out, Ward ran up to me and, I'll take any help you can. And with a lot of help from friends out there in Horry County, and we turned that thing into a machine down there. It was something to be held. My favorite picture of all of it, other than the Myrtle Beach Mafia one, is this lady put her baby on her back in a baby carrier.
Oh, yes.
And my wife took this picture, and I believe she was with Beach Church. They came out like an army. And this little girl, every time she would bend over to tie a sandbag, little girl was like, wee, it was the funnest thing she ever did in her life. And if you think about a baby, I mean, there's a lot of things to look at. I mean, it's a whole new world to them. But it didn't matter. We had another young man, his name's Terrell. We actually got to know him. My friend Tommy Henry was with me the whole time. And this young man, I believe he was with Beach Church also. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But he was obviously in a wheelchair, and they would fill a bag. He'd put on his wheelchair. He'd run that wheelchair over to the truck. They'd take it out of there. They would load it in. And then on top of all of that, being at Midtown, where a lot of our refugees are, or evacuees, excuse me, I come out there at lunch and he's serving people.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much inspiration that was out there. Little kids, 5 years old, 3 years old, with sand shovels. I mean, you're welcome, Wings, because I think a lot of sand shovels were bought. There was a lot of that. I heard families talk to their kids about why they're doing it and giving them that structure. And it was an emotional and very, very tiring, but very rewarding. And it gave me such a good feeling about where I live. Yeah.
And you had Southern House, Mariners Inn, different restaurants that stayed open during the hurricane to make sure that all the fire police and volunteers, had a place to go and eat, and the people that didn't evacuate would have some place to get some food. And I mean, these are unsung heroes. These are people that just did it because they put their businesses and lives on the line just to help out their neighbors, family, and friends, which is incredible. And my hope right now is that all these evacuees, we start to create a plan with each and every individual family on getting them rebooted, relaunched, get them out of wherever they are settled into right now and get them back home or get them into a new home. It's because we know that right now they've been dependent, but it's now is the time to start weaning.
I agree. And, I've done disaster relief in other countries, being a CV and stuff. And you do have to say, okay, this was unfortunate, and you have the empathy and the heart to make them comfortable. But now there comes a point where depression sets in, things like that. They get too comfortable where they are, and you need to be able to lift them up again. And, I know that Samaritan's Purse is over at the Socastee Baptist Church. I'm trying to get Operation Rubicon to come down here, which is former CVs and Army Corps. And man, when they come in, it's a sight. I mean, they come in deep.
Yeah.
Obviously, the focus should be on disaster relief. And there is a bunch of money that's been allocated by numerous government entities for disaster relief. What's disappointing is to hear some of our politicians talking about taking some of that money and diverting it to supporting I-73.
Oh, it's embarrassing, actually.
It's
very embarrassing.
I believe we embarrassed ourselves in front of President Trump himself when he was here in the photo ops. We've had a lot of interesting photo ops lately. A Never Trumper taking a picture, smiling with the thumbs up, next to our president. This is a very convoluted political arena that we live in. I've seen it firsthand. I've got to know more people and really see how this works. And it's time for change.
And when we're talking about
and
we're talking about controlling the optics, controlling the media, controlling the message that goes out, the people that want to control it are so out of control. They're so nervous. We can't put those people in front of a camera. I mean, the Today Show debacle was absolutely embarrassing. I mean, that was the stupidest, dumbest quote to have. And they didn't edit it out. They kept it in there for a reason, to embarrass the crap out of us.
Yeah.
And to have the person who's supposedly the leader of our city say that quote. I know people make mistakes.
Right.
And I'll give a pass on that.
And she was on a huge stage that she's never ever found herself on.
Exactly. And we've never said that, you know, she was.
I'm still giving allocations to these people.
I know. But we know that people are human beings, but those are the same human beings that want to take control of all the media and messages going out. They're not qualified. They're not qualified. They don't get the right message out. They're not the people. We've got to be able to blow this thing up so we can get all the correct messages out and not have it funneled through one, here's our one message that we get out, because they screw it up every time. And I want them to get that message. You're screw ups. Yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, I make mistakes. Admit, you make big mistakes. I mean, I make little mistakes. You make huge mistakes. There's a big difference.
That's a big reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because of humility. It's lost in our political officials.
Oh.
You know, Donald Trump at one point said that, I don't know why you guys are mad because I've changed my stance on something. That's the idea of politics. We hear from our constituents. We hear from professionals. We come to an educated decision. The way I understand it, as being a political official, it's black and white.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean everything is black and white, but you know, when you start throwing the selfless or the selfishness in there, I got to get elected next year. I'm going to upset the Tea Party. I'm going to upset the pro-life people. I'm going to upset. It convolutes what really needs to be done. And those people were put there in position to make change.
Yeah.
Heather Bethune, you were put in position to get rid of a inept mayor at one time. And now there's shirts going around going, do you miss me yet?
Yeah. And of course, we're kind of responsible for that.
Yeah. Anyway. But the thing is, you know, we try to bring some levity into it. But, you know, over the last 2 weeks, I've just sat there and been blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the venom. I've seen the disdain in the middle of a disaster. The level of anger that I have inside my body about all of it is I'm really proud of myself right now, to be honest, because it's pushed me to a very far reach that we all can get to, being angry.
Yeah.
And it's not right. There's no spin. There's no Brown. I mean, I had to show you that this morning. It doesn't make sense.
No.
This is not for the people, not for the people of Myrtle Beach. And the only people that have anything to say for the people of Myrtle Beach or the Horry County Council are the people that are making money from decisions made. Period.
That's the foundational problem, Chad. Look, first of all, they take everything personally. Yeah. I don't have a personal animosity toward any elected official. It's not personal. No. They volunteered to run for public office and do a job for us, supposedly.
Right.
And then
not on a mandate. There's no mandate.
Absolutely. And then they don't listen. So what we saw over the past 3 weeks, thanks to Chad and lots of other people like him, is what's best about America.
Yeah.
The very core of America is rallying together to make sure we help everybody. We don't just do it here. We do it all over the world, and we've been doing it. That's one of the reasons why Donald Trump is so well loved by so many people, is that he's understanding that we've been doing this for 75 years. Most people seem to think America was a world power for 250 years. No, it's only been 75 years.
Yeah.
And during that time, we've spent all of our money and all of our time and invested everything to make sure everybody's okay.
Yeah.
We can't afford to keep doing that. But we always have people like Chad. There's always somebody there who's going to take the time to volunteer and make good things happen.
Yeah.
And which brings us back to this whole situation with our elected officials and county council. A good example. It's important that you were talking about rebuilding these people's homes, finding them a new place to live.
Yeah.
Well, we can't build new homes along the waterway in Sockasty because we learned a lesson, or did we? But apparently county council didn't listen, because it was more important to them to pass another huge development without thinking about the impact that's going to have on our environment.
I'm trying to come up with a title for this county council. Is it the Mighty Lame Ducks or Lazarus Won't Die? I'm trying to, it's just.
I'll say it. I think that they're going to try to run county council from the water park. I saw it. I sat right there in the arrogance of the county council that was there, and I think it's set up that way. I really do. I saw a blind follow the leader during that throw this development down our throat. Mike Wooten Mr. Wooten jumped up, turned around, gave us a wink and a smile, and walked out the door the minute they said it passes. He was done.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't. That's not how government's supposed to be. Granted, it can be catty, it can be dirty, it can be ugly, but that's not the government I want. And I just want to say this: we showed what we could do at Sauk City and St. James.
Right.
The minute government showed up, it fell apart.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
Well, I'm going to change things up a little bit right now.
All right.
We're going to take a break from all this, and we're going to start a new game. Where quotes?
What is it called?
Where quotes?
Okay.
Okay. Where did these quotes come from? Did it come from a specific party or ideology? And we've got these little panels, so you can choose Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or fake out.
Okay.
Okay?
This is Democrat. What is this one?
Libertarian.
What is
Don't tread on me. Porcupine.
that's a porcupine? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of like the elephant one better. Just saying.
All right.
Okay, here's the quote. Now let's see.
You can be a conservatarian like me.
There you go. Yeah, he keeps flipping it back and forth. I'll start putting your quotes in there when you're not on the panel.
I'll
Okay.
just stick the thug.
Here's the first. Here's the first quote.
Yeah.
You can't be for big government, big taxes, and big bureaucracy, and still be for the little guy.
We're supposed to now. Okay. So
Let's
where?
say what party said
What party was it that
Well, I'm going to guess.
person from our party? Okay, I've got a Democrat, I've got a Libertarian, I've got a Libertarian. Republican. That was Ronald Reagan.
Oh, really?
Oh, man.
That's a quote from Ronald Reagan. See, this is not easy. Here we go.
I
So
was-
much for me knowing all about Ronald Reagan. Out there.
I got it now. I was 10.
Yeah. I mean, these are
All I
tough.
cared about was G.I. Joe.
Okay.
I do too, but my kids were 10. So.
All right. Here's one. Criticisms from Democratic personages can only be of two kinds: those that are wrong and those that are not. Criticisms that are not wrong can help remedy our shortcomings, while wrong ones must be refuted.
That came from
How's that a
absolutely
quote?
no
That's
one.
a paragraph.
Read it one more time.
Yeah.
Okay. Criticisms from Democratic personages can only be of two kinds: those that are wrong and those that are not. Criticisms that are not wrong can help remedy our shortcomings, while wrong ones must be refuted.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
You were right the first time. that was a fake out. That was Mao Zedong.
Well,
Get
Mom,
out.
I'll say tongue.
Really?
You guys
Wow.
having fun yet?
Yeah.
But wait. Mao Zedong's socialism. So we were right.
Touche.
I'm taking my point. I'm even going to use a pen and be like, I get a point. I get a point. I get a point.
Okay. How about this one? It is paradoxical. It is a paradoxical truth. The tax rates are too high and tax revenues are too low. And the soundest way to raise the revenues in the long run is to cut rates now. Cutting taxes now is not to incur budget deficit, but to achieve more prosperous, expanding economy, which can bring budget surpluses.
I can tell you who it was.
Here's
Maybe I'm.
when
Maybe
he,
I
if
didn't
he, well, if
understand
he
the
can tell me
quote.
who it was, I'm going to go with him. I want points. What's
I'm probably wrong.
Maybe
Go
I-
ahead.
John F. Kennedy.
You're right, John F. Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, yep.
He was
That's
the spending cuts,
Yep.
tax cuts.
He would not be a Democrat today.
He would not
Not
be today.
Right.
No, he would have been killed faster. You know.
Hoffman.
Okay.
I would have had to get rid of him.
All right. I'll wrap it up with this one, but we'll keep playing this week in, week out, every once in a while.
Is there like a study manual we could take home or anything?
Hell no.
Okay.
I want to keep you guys on your
All right.
toes.
Okay.
Keep you on your toes. Keep you reading.
All right.
Okay. By the way, when I say cut taxes, I don't mean fiddle with the tax code. I mean abolish the income tax, the IRS, and replace them with nothing.
Who said that is the question here, right?
Oh yeah, which party are they part of? And yeah, that Ron Paul.
Yep.
That's Ron Paul.
Hey, Brown, I tied for first. I'm not so stupid. Just saying.
All right. For those of you playing at home. That's right.
I wore my American Fighter shirt today to put the message out.
All right. Yeah, we will post a home version of this game at some point in time. All right. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is now that we've had this storm come through and everything else, what are some of the lessons learned from all of this? I mean, just expand it. I mean, lessons learned as far as government, as far as what we should do for evacuation. Do you think the evacuation was premature? Or that they should have done it ABC like
I've never
we used
heard it
to in
put
the
that way.
past?
I've never spoken about
Premature
premature
evacuation.
evacuations like that. So
I got weird.
They have a pill for that?
I got
They actually had a meme for that with the
zinger.
governor's face on
a
it.
zinger from the Hoff.
Yeah.
I love it.
oh man.
I'll start. I mean, why not? Here's my thing with the whole evacuation thing. The evacuation thing, I think, went well. I think we've all learned that Ed Petrowski is the best meteorologist in the world.
Ed!
And that the Weather Channel is really good at Hollywood.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That being said, I really don't think it's up. This was the storm of storms of different capacity, different rainfall, different movement. I think the evacuation so far, I don't think anybody's died in South Carolina.
I don't know. I can't.
I'm
answer
not
that
sure. I know
question.
somebody got an infection from the floodwaters, but
Mhm.
Well, those two gals that were in the back of the van, but that was kind of unrelated.
that's right.
Yeah.
That was our government. We're here to
Yeah, right.
serve and protect.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But there's been talking about we need more evacuation. We need this, we need that, and I think right now that's a little too soon to say. I can't really point at the government and say that a lot of people are saying McMaster shouldn't have let us all come back. Well, if McMaster didn't let us all come back, I think it would be a bigger issue. I really do. There wouldn't be people here. There wouldn't be infrastructure. I know firemen were working 96 hours, and they're getting 2 days hazard pay, by the way, which is disgusting. We'll get into that another day. But I can't look at McMaster and say, or the state government and say that they told the evacuation off too soon, too early. I think it was we were shooting from the hip on a lot of this. I mean, every day I heard it was cresting. I still don't know if it's crested.
Well, and it crusted in different areas. It crusted finally down south in the Winya Bay blast.
I live on the waterway in the back, right on the waterway, not directly on it, but in the neighborhood. And I kept listening, and it depended on what station you were watching and who they were talking to. This crest thing, this was an unprecedented storm. We keep saying that here for some reason. But as far as the evacuation and stuff, I can't be mad at Governor McMaster and our county government. I felt that it was the 501 opening seemed to work really well.
Yeah.
So I'll give them kudos for that. As far in my opinion,
it seems to me there's a tweak that's needed, or a bunch of tweaks. One of them is that the way we do things here is that we evacuate based on zones that end at the waterway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, that implies that what's going to happen is wind or surge is going to kill people or damage things. Wind and surge almost never kills or damages things. It's floods that do it in every single case. So we
wind
evacuate.
does, surge does.
Yeah, I realize.
They don't leave that,
okay. So, but I think flooding causes 92% of the deaths in a. Okay. So we evacuated everybody that was in the safest place, me included.
Mm-hmm.
My building didn't get damaged. There was nothing.
Yeah, you're like on the zillionth floor or something.
2 hours of loss of power.
Yeah.
But 300,000 people that live just across the waterway are still in trouble because we didn't evacuate them.
Right.
We all got away.
Yeah.
And then had to find a way back somehow. So we need to look at the big picture. That's what's wrong with government right now. I think, you've got, in the case of the cleanup and helping people, you had to have great volunteers like Chad. The government really wasn't in charge of that program. It was people that were taking care of that program.
Yeah.
So we need to take and the same. This gets back to this county council thing. I don't want to keep going there, but you at least need to tap the brakes.
Yes.
When something like this happens, go, you know what? We may pass this project, but we're going to put it on hold for 6 months and see if we need to take another look at it.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen is reasonable, transparent, honest, open government that listens to its constituents. And we don't have that right now. So sorry, I went kind of off. But.
No, but it's true. And well, another thing too that I was just kind of wondering too is where did Steve, did you also evacuate during that time, or did you stay?
I evacuated to Anderson, South Carolina. My wife and I and a small dog in a little dingy hotel room for 5 days.
How romantic.
We have a very good marriage.
Chad, where'd you
my wife and our two dogs, and one of our neighbors, who's a friend of ours. This is their first hurricane. So, Marine buddy of mine, him and his wife, went with us. We went down to Somerville, and we stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. So I'm everything now.
Oh, okay.
And they did a good job down there. And on that whole thing with the government deciding when to evacuate, I saw a lot of condescending posts out there. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is the government doing this," or "This is, they're just trying to make money and get plywood and water and all of that." So I don't think we can actually put it on the government when it comes to evacuation, when not. And I'm really worried because the next storm that really comes at us, I think there's a lot of people that are like, I just blew all that money for nothing. Mm-hmm. Because we didn't get the win. We didn't get the surge. And I think it gives people a false sense of security.
I don't disagree.
How about
so
you?
I have lived here for 25 years. I had never left for any storm ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting so much heat from my kids. It was unbelievable because they live, 2 of them in New York and 1 in Virginia. And finally I buckled and I said, okay, I think I'm driving the wrong direction because this thing's going to follow me all the way up there.
Felt like it didn't.
So yeah. And so I went to Northern Virginia and had a lovely time for a few days with my daughter and grandsons, and then went to the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and then down to Virginia Beach. And then but interestingly enough, when I finally came back, which was 8 days later, I came all the way down 17, no problems, right straight through Wilmington and everything else. So, would I leave again? I can't honestly say that. I'm not sure. I live in a high-rise building, so I'm not sure I would leave.
Yeah, I was similar. I've gone through tons of storms when I lived in Florida, so I was kind of looking at, and I have to say it. Marie and I, we kind of called it. We had a feeling it was going to have the surges and everything else up into the North Carolina. We were going to get the buffering thing, but we could not have anticipated the flooding that was going to come afterwards.
Yeah. But you didn't have flooding at your house.
No, no,
because it was out west.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but my mother was, beside herself because she was watching the Weather Channel.
Sure.
Right.
And I could not get her off of that.
Right.
And she is crafty. She's a crafty old kraut. And she her last ditch effort worked. She said, "Your father is going to," now my father's not a young man, "Your father is going to pull the boat out of the lake himself."
Oh, you got to go.
Yeah.
And she has 4 fractures in her pelvis. So I know she's not helping him.
Yeah, that's.
I was like, okay. So the cat, Marie, cat, dog, and I packed, and my car was acting up too.
Oh, nice.
So I rented a car, and off to the mountains of Georgia we went to get the boat out, and of course my dad took advantage of it. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna use me in the boat I'm gonna get that boat out."
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So rewired a trailer, got the boat out, did some work on my sister's place, which is lovely. I had like a little mini vacation up in the mountains.
What part of the mountains of Georgia? Like Helen?
Blairsville.
How far north of Atlanta is that? Hour?
It takes about an hour and a half to get from, so it'd be about 2 hours from Atlanta. It's about an hour and a half from where they are in Ackworth.
Okay.
So,
I think the real topic, though, not necessarily the evacuation, but the relief effort afterward.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple hours at Socracy High School filling bags and at St. James.
Actually filling bags, not taking pictures.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
You were actually filling bags, not taking pictures.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I was filling bags. But it was amazing the number of people when it came to doing something to help the people that suffered from the flooding. It was individual citizens. It was a private sector that was there doing things. Now there were also many policemen and firemen that helped out. Okay, they did a great job, but we ran out of sandbags. So I made a phone call to the Red Cross. Well, we don't really handle the sandbag portion. Call the county emergency management operations office. So I called them. We don't really get involved in that sort of thing. I suggest that you call the American Red Cross. Okay, thank you. It was the private sector that provided the bags, and the private sector that provided the pickup trucks. The ordinary people, the pickup trucks and the bags and the. Where did you get the sand from? Was that a?
That's just another thing. There was different companies that we'd gotten a hold of, and they opened a pit. It wasn't always sand.
So we need to talk about, as Americans, we know what to do during a disaster. And I'm a guy that supports limited government.
Yeah.
You don't have to rely on government. Matter of fact, if you do rely on government, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle.
Oh, amen.
So it's just, we're blessed that we have citizens who know what to do during a crisis.
Well, people talk about the phrase anarchy, and like it's this horrible, anarchy means confusion. It doesn't. Anarchy is pretty much grassroots, what's going to happen.
Okay, you're trying to steal one of my quotes.
Go ahead.
A little anarchy is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
I just think the negative connotation that goes with the word is hard to swallow. I know what you're saying, but I just the word anarchy is dangerous.
But if you want the answer to that,
look, I'm scared. I'm changing the subject for a second.
Okay.
I'm scared for this country. I am absolutely frightened, sick about this. What's going on in Washington right now is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life.
It really
which is not to say that I'm not concerned, as we talked about the Harvey Weinstein thing, about women and what happens to women. I find that atrocious and disgusting.
But this doesn't help them.
Well, not only does it not help them, but what's happened is that we elect these people and send them up there, and they are totally not responsive to what we say. Completely. I think if we don't get term limits and get a grip on big money, like I said, and you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
When they passed that when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Citizens United on unlimited and anonymous contributions, and that a company, a corporation is an individual and has the same rights as an individual, we were screwed.
Yeah.
And it's been that way now for 8 years.
Yeah.
We have got to get things back under control. As far as I'm concerned, folks, we ought to start. We're not going to get term limits in Washington, but we can get term limits in Myrtle Beach, and we can get term limits in Horry County. And when we get that, things begin to move and change. Yeah. I mean, and then transparency. Oh my gosh. I mean, everybody's hiding everything when it comes to government. It's just unbelievable. So we got to get these things fixed. And that means all of you out there need to understand that on November 6th, is that the date?
November 6th.
Go vote. Okay. Yeah. And if you can go vote in Tennessee or somewhere, do that too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a nightmare.
Oh, Larry Sharp had a meme that went up, and it had a few people that were there that had I voted, and then it had a bazillion people on the other side that said, I don't vote because my vote won't make a difference. And that is the mentality that has been silently promoted by those who want to keep the masses in charge. Or keep in charge of the masses, excuse me.
Question for all of you.
I buffooned there for a minute.
Do you think this is an orchestrated, organized effort to destroy the country from the inside, or do you think this is just happenstance and circumstance?
Oh, it's definitely organized, because how can you get the idea across to a mass group of people that being participating in their republic is not it really doesn't matter. You have to really get that it has to be organized to be brought in.
We have an entire generation, maybe 2 generations of young people who don't know anything about this country, how it was formed, why it was formed, what the founding fathers and mothers believed, why they created it like it is, why a foundational principle of America is that you're innocent until proven guilty. I mean, there's a lot of countries around the world where if they think you've done something, you put you in the gulag.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so these are foundational principles. We have 2 generations, probably maybe 30 or 40 years worth of people who don't understand that. All you got to do is look at Olivia. What's the girl's name in Brooklyn?
Asiago.
I mean, that's
something or
about the
other.
scariest thing I've ever seen. And she's going to be a member of Congress, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, what do you think?
Okay, so you're a graduate of the public high schools. You graduated from a government-controlled colleges and stuff.
Yeah.
So now you're a really good socialist. So you know that it's extremely important that you destroy every American institution, the press, our religion, our churches, our language, because you have to destroy it in order to rebuild it into a socialist paradise. So that's what you're saying.
And you're 2 people that I respect a lot, but I look at it again as a fighter and as somebody that's taken my country's oath. When I hear the word destroy, we're doing it to ourselves. There's a side party that's trying to destroy the country that we have. To me, that sounds like it. If that was in my concept of just there's somebody in government is trying to destroy our government from the inside, to me, it would be the reason we have a Second Amendment. It's time to step up.
Yeah.
So because that would bring me a civil war, because I know myself and there's a lot of people like it. And one of them sitting right next to me that has no problem standing behind that weapon one more time.
History repeats itself.
It does.
Look at Venezuela.
It does.
Yeah. Look, in 1960, we're the only 2 guys who I think you don't. Do you remember 1960?
61, I guess.
Nikita Khrushchev came and spoke at the United Nations, took his shoe off and banged it on the table and said, "We will bury you. And from the inside, we're not going to fire any guns or missiles. We don't have to. We can take you apart from the inside out." And so now you look at all this money that's been poured into this system to make sure that people like what's her name from Brooklyn and all these young people that are out demonstrating and think that they're going to get free college and free this and free Volkswagens, free they get free everything, but they don't ask where it comes from. Where does the money come from? Sooner or later, you run out of other people's money. You know, so it's scary.
We're not playing anymore, Hoff.
Yeah.
Let me have a tie. I'm scared of it, but I also am really excited about, and not just because I'm in it, but over the whole sandbagging thing, I've met some amazing people, and I know that with the things that happened out there and the government that's been seen, which is the most arrogance from city to county that I've seen ever. And I've been to a lot of council meetings. Never been to a city council meeting yet, but I might. There's no caring at all. This is we're going to get this done. We're going to get it done now, and this is our plan. And you can tell that the establishment has reorganized. That's what I saw. I saw the establishment reorganize the other night. And if we don't empower ourselves as people, and I'm a person that can show you what one person can do.
Yep.
I didn't go in there for that. I went in there because I wanted to be heard. And I know as a former CB and knowing how much I love my country, I know I have that right. Although I did tell my wife bails in the glove box. My point is that there's been so many one person that have changed history.
Yeah.
For good and bad. Be a part of the good. Let's bring this government back to where we can make Myrtle Beach in Horry County that utopia that I know that we all love because we lived here. We live here.
Chad, I love what you said, and I believe that it can be done. But you're looking at some older guys who have been beating our head against the wall forever, and the apathy is mind-boggling. If I were to sit down and show you the numbers of people who vote in primaries and general elections, it's scary. And so what we got to have happen is to multiply the thug thing big time. We need more of you, and we need more people who care, because we can get this fixed. This is the only country where we can fix it
Right.
ourselves.
I know there's a lot of Republicans here, so I look at the Republican Party. Mr. Hoffman, I know you're on the vice chairman. But when's the last time you guys threw out a saxophone and brought some younger people in there? Clinton did it a long time ago, and who are we fighting now? Antifa, a bunch of people that don't know how to play a saxophone, but they're willing to fight for socialism.
I've made overtures to the Turning Point USA and Young Americans for Liberty to try to get their involvement, but I'm just the vice chair. Now, if we had a chairman that would go out there and
Amen.
do that, I'm sure we would get more young people into our.
Well, let me ask you this.
Well, the chairman's too busy trying to keep people in line.
You are the vice chair, and you go to the meetings and whatnot. And I find it very interesting how the chairman of the Republican Party has never reached out to me. I've made it very clear I'm a staunch Republican, and I found myself in the middle of this and trying to have a voice, and I find it very interesting that I've never been reached out to. Actually, ran from.
The process for getting speakers at our events is not a transparent one.
Okay,
it is handled by a single individual.
I see.
And
that is something that needs to be changed.
And the party that you refer to, the Republican Party, to me and to others like Steve and probably you, means something. It's all about ideology. It's all about philosophy. It's what we believe is the best way to handle things both on a private basis and a public basis. And that's not what happens with our Republican Party here. We have right now, as my understanding, we have one Democrat elected in all of Horry County. One. I don't think there's another one. And yet probably 95% of the Republicans in Horry County are not Republicans.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
They just have an R behind their name. And the current leadership of the party does nothing about that but to support them, because that's the money structure. It's all about excess and greed and making sure you take care of the good old boys. And it has nothing to do with ideology anymore.
But is the Republican Party not supposed to be all inclusive to all Republicans?
It's supposed to be all inclusive to people who believe what we believe.
So the establishment's deeper than we thought.
Both the Libertarian Party and the Republican Party have battles going on right now for the core of both those parties.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there are many people who believe in the big tent theory. I was a big tent libertarian for a long time, but I failed. But now I'm trying to make the Republican Party a big tent party, but sticking to a set of core values.
That's it. That's it.
It would be nice if we could get both. A big tent party, you need the votes, and also Republican Party that actually meant something.
Don't you agree, though, that when Ronald Reagan talked about the big tent, he wasn't talking about let's get a bunch of liberals in here. What he was talking about is let's create a system that people understand what works and what doesn't work, and what works is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, the conservative philosophy is what works. It really does. It's what makes things happen. Sometimes I think the word is wrong, right? Because it implies that we're old-fashioned and stuck in the mud and don't make progress, but we do.
And socially, some of that in the Republican Party needs to change.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Ronald Reagan, I believe he once said that the heart and soul of the Republican Party was libertarianism.
That's
about that.
Absolutely. Just real quick, I do want to. I know I've been told several times by this organization not to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Wait, we're an organization? Or
no.
I was going to say, I never signed an LLC.
No. This is this is an outside organization. It's a company. Okay. And I'm going to mention them by name, even though they didn't want. I want to say that these guys actually did a lot of relief efforts, didn't have any. I'm not supposed to get specific on what they did, but concerns water for the area, and it's a group that I hope to get a better relationship with. And it's they're called Giannis Carolinas out in Conway, and
Miller Lite.
Yeah, Miller Coors Group.
Yep.
And I know you guys didn't want to have this brought up. I know you guys don't want to get politicized or anything else. We're not trying to do that. I just want to thank you for all the things that you did, and no one knew about it. No one knew about it. And
my dad retired from there, and I didn't even know.
The Titan Group out of North Carolina.
The Titan Group. Wow, what a machine.
Yeah.
Rob Tingman is who I met at St. James. Then I got a text from Robin Holly. Water's coming up. She's got a bad knee. Miss Jerry McDaniel was sick. I'm out there, and I'm sitting there talking to this enormous man named Rob Tingman with the greatest beard I've ever seen. And I'm just looking at him going, wow. And he's telling me the pitfalls he's had by bringing their boat and trying to help. And Horry County had threatened him a couple times, saying, you put that boat in the water, we're going to seize it, we're going to do this. Actually brought Craig from Southern Charmed.
Oh, yeah.
He was up there bagging sandbags. I mean, he's a movie star or a reality star. They were amazing. And I said, man, can you get me 6 guys to help remove this stuff to the upstairs? He said, give me the address. My wife and Tommy Henry and the Triton group went out there. And Robin Holly was in tears.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There's a lot of those stories, and there's a lot of people. And there's only 3 that I want to say real quick. Trip Landscaping. This guy had his dump trailer, gave up everything, wouldn't take. I was just trying to pay for gas. He was going all the way to Georgetown because he could take 1,000 bags. That's what we were doing, was setting up these strike teams, giving them addresses. I put my phone number out on Facebook. Holy crap, that was I knew it was bad, but
I edited yours out.
I will say this, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Down to Earth Landscaping, they had their dump trailer. Drake's Complete Landscaping, and these guys fight for bids.
Sure.
Yeah.
They were back to back to back, following each other to Arrowhead, Forest Brook, and that's what we were trying to do with these strike teams, is get these trucks. And there's so many I can't name because they weren't companies. They were people with trucks and trailers.
Yeah.
And I would say, can you go to Arrowhead and drop these 800 bags off instead of bringing those 50 cars to make it an issue? And that's what we were trying to coordinate on one side. And then we had the private fill on the other. It was a machine. And those companies, Mr. Tripp and Down to Earth and Drake's Complete Landscaping, I mean, there's more out there, and I'm sorry I forgot them all. But, I mean, just selfless. Lost money.
How much time do we have?
Plenty of time. Go ahead.
Question. Apparently the water is receding pretty much everywhere now. What's next? Who needs what next, and who's providing that?
Cleanup,
Yeah.
Bleach, rubber gloves, mops, scrub brushes, galoshes of all.
Boots are a big deal.
Yeah.
We went out to Long's. We got the SOS from a friend of ours, Peggy Bushy. And the water had already receded because it was all down by us. And we went over to A&A Produce. SC needs help.
A&A Produce, SE.
Phil and Andy,
That's
machines. I mean,
yeah, that is incredible.
just having that distribution chain in their trucks makes a huge difference, and the people and the volunteers that are working in that warehouse.
In case people want to know where this drop off is, you go south of the back gate, what we used to call the back gate, south of Farrell Parkway, and you would be taking the first south exit past the Farrell Parkway.
I don't have a compass, so go behind Remedies and look for the sign.
and
Everybody knows where
just
Remedies
follow
is.
that.
Just go back there, and it's in the industrial park back there, and
Where
they're
Shred
doing
Alert
great.
is and all those guys.
Exactly. It's a matter of fact, it's about three doors down.
Okay.
Cameron Ventura, go to his site. Cameron Ventura is working on Rosewood, and he's trying to put together work parties and materials. I mean, this guy's in the middle of a pretty heated election with that other person. And he's trying to put this together for Rosewood right now instead of going out and doing the necessary
campaigning.
things for campaigning.
Yeah.
And you know what? I hope it works for you, because what a great guy. And I owe you a message back. I've just been busy. I'm sorry. So we're going to try to coordinate that and get Rosewood going and see what we can do. Just if you want to get out there, there's plenty of places that need help taking this drywall, getting it out of the house. You have to get out of the house quickly.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do is, if you want to give money, drive up to one of these houses. When I went to Long's, I was disgusted. I mean, we're talking 3 feet of feces in their house. And these people, not one of them was upset. You know, they were appreciative of the bucket and bleach and the things that they put together at A&A that we filled my truck with, water, food. Ironically enough, do you know the only county vehicle I saw?
No.
Code enforcement.
Sure.
Of
Code
course.
enforcement. Yeah. Probably handing out fines.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of
Unbelievable.
contractors up there. These people obviously had flood insurance, and But I just found it ironic. Here we are with the back of my truck open, and there's a code enforcement truck behind me trying to get somewhere. But because of all the contractor trucks and whatnot, I'm jumping out, and Tommy and Henry are sitting on the tailgate giving people buckets with all these cleaning supplies that A&A put together, and SC needs help. And the code enforcement guy is just like he's got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And I almost had a bad day that day. I'm glad Tommy Henry was there with me.
Yeah. Really.
What a machine, too. I mean, he's been there morning, noon, and night.
Well, I was going to say another thing is Tim Irving from Seahind and some of these other organizations. He also has been garnering Tyvek suits and filter masks for people also, because it's very important that they don't get, especially when they get the feces and stuff like that, and bacteria. And
Don't be
so
a
on.
cowboy, guys, or we've already
No.
have a death from somebody that actually had the flood water go into an open wound. It's not worth it.
Well, we were out in Conway the other day doing another film, and the setting was with behind us where the warehouse is was the road with the fountain that's right there by. The water was what, a foot or two deep right back there. Still now. The stench was mind-boggling. There were dead fish all over the place, and the living fish were up at the top of the water, breathing, gulping for air because there's no air in the water. I mean, and this is going into our drinking water.
Yeah.
But there's no problem, of course, according to the government, that we don't have any problems.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we're going to know in 2 to 3 years, because if there is an issue with it, it's going to be systemic.
Yeah.
And I hope the government, and this is where I taper off from you guys. The government tests, the government has our filtration systems. As far as the drinking water we have, there's been no real warning go out from them. And I can't do the no government altogether. At the end of the day, there's certain things that I look to for my government to make sure, as a civilized society.
Minarchy.
Now, if you want to go out there and put, we should make that a challenge. Go to Lowe's and get a water softener tester. They'll tell you how much arsenic's in it, how much lead's in it. Go out there, and if there's a pond next to you, stick that thing in there. Stick it in your own, test it at your house.
Yeah. I
have a $68 one, and I'm actually going to do that with Fan next week. And I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to put it in the water. We don't need a biologist that's being paid by the government to not say stuff. We have those at Lowe's. We can get all the information we
I
want.
believe the sewage treatment plant flooded into the inland waterway also.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Just back up for 1 second. The reason for my concern about this isn't that I don't think a lot of our bureaucrats are doing a good job, because I know they are. I mean, they care. But we have evidence here in the city of Myrtle Beach, for example, of intentionally being so concerned about optics for tourists that they don't report what's happening with the water quality on the ocean.
Yeah.
Didn't Mike Wooten do that project?
There's
I just thought put that out there.
the outfalls into the ocean are frequently dumping all sorts of bad stuff out there, and the DHEC inspects it, I think, once or twice a week, and frequently there are warnings, and the city doesn't want to talk about those. So my point was simply this: is that do what Chad has said here. Make sure for your own self that you're taking care of this stuff, because at the moment they're probably so overwhelmed they can't possibly test everything they need to test.
And that's the kind of uprising you need in what we're doing right now, because we do have the bureaucrats and the people that stick their head in the sand.
Right.
We did the water challenge forever. Go grab yourself a water tester. Stick it in your water.
I'm going to do another little quick segue, since we were talking about waiting on tests.
Yeah.
Mandy Wilkes.
Oh, love her.
Love ya.
Man, why
love
did
you, girl.
Why did I open that up?
Yeah. She posted. I know. I'm
Mandy,
I'm
I'm
going to start digging on this. She posted about, and it is a good question. They supposedly tested the CBD oils in these nefarious merchants downtown.
Sure.
And where are the test results? Where are the test results? That's all she was asking for.
And the PIO of Myrtle Beach.
Oh,
That's Public Information Officer Brown Bethune.
The thing on Facebook.
Sorry, Tom.
I'm sorry, and I know you were getting angry. I was laughing my ass off. I gotta say,
I can't tell you how many texts I was getting. I'm
cracking
laughing.
up.
I'm getting my popcorn. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is I had a conversation on the phone with Mandy just I don't know, a couple hours or something before she made the post and all that stuff happened. And so I was just cracking up because of some of the things we were saying in private before any of this even erupted. But I had heard, just from her about, being tattled on.
My daddy, yeah.
Being tattled on to her dad.
Apparently, that's how things were done back in the day. We just call your daddy and he'll throw a switch up in there. Just saying. I grew up on a farm. You tell my daddy anything, I'm coming
Who
for you.
operates like that? We can go ahead and start really swinging now because I went and I talked to the girl's father.
Yeah, let her rip, Tater Chip.
Yeah.
So but the
Mandy,
back and forth on that was incredible.
Mandy, you need to make your Facebook public if it's not already. Go to Mandy Wilkes at Facebook, blah blah blah, and look up this thread. These are the leaders of the city.
Well, I'm going to do.
Well, I take it back. It's the husband of the leader of the city, so I can't really say it's the leader.
Mandy is going to be helping me with a little project called Willed. Coming up, yeah. And we're going to be.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. It's a little different. Mandy and I are kind of bent in the same direction, so
True.
Yeah, we really are, and so it's going to be a little more colorful, a little more R-rated, I guess.
Okay.
You're making me feel like I gotta hang out with the old guys. I mean, they call me a thug, and I'm not colorful, or
Hey,
I guess R-rated. I am Christian.
No.
I'm trying to get that way.
Yeah. Actually, we've got some other fun plans for you, buddy.
So what we've been talking about here, a lot of which is humorous in a kind of a sick way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to wind the clock back to July of 2017, and there was an emergency meeting. I'm not going to mention names and all that kind of stuff. It's not necessary. There was an emergency meeting. I'll put it this way: it was held at Soho upstairs, so you can kind of guess who all the people were.
Great sushi.
And instead of discussing, and it was held in response to the kid from Florence who was down here, or wherever he was from, who was down here, and he filmed the shooting.
Bubba Stinson.
Bubba, right?
He's from Bethune.
So
Firefighter.
So he was from Bethune. That's right. I forgot about that. Never mind. I could. So
you can't make this stuff up.
So
people.
you cannot.
I know.
So they have this emergency meeting, and the purpose of the emergency meeting, presumably, is to what are we going to do about violence? But that was not what was discussed for 2 hours. The entire meeting was blaming people who are talking about it or on social media, and how can we stop this optics? Now, we have to make sure the optics of Myrtle Beach are good. Forget taking action that will prevent crime or get rid of narcotics or get rid of prostitutes.
Let's not stop the lead.
Let's stop the people who are talking about the lead. They're awful people. It was crazy. It was absolutely insanity.
Wait, did they pay somebody to fix the optics? Was there a guy paid?
They
Yes,
put out
they
tons
did,
of money.
yeah.
I would put his name up when you go to edit because you're horrible. These people have no clue of optics, and it's systemic through Orange County.
It's been a revolving door of these,
I have
these
never
wizards
seen-
that have come through.
I'm a big, but you ask any of the kids I've ever coached, any of the guys that have ever been under me in the military, even my wife. I actually said this to my wife before we got married. If you give me the perception you're cheating on me, you're cheating on me. Elizabeth, I'm sure you're writing right now that actually happened. Perception is a problem that you have to understand, and you need to think about what comes out of your mouth. And the perception of our county, and I'm going to say city leader. I don't know a lot of the other city leaders. And I would also want to say Russell Fry is in the Myrtle Beach Mafia picture. I didn't make that picture. But I want to say this, Russell Fry was instrumental and very helpful at St. James after we got the proverbial boot from Socastee and the mayor of Socastee.
Good.
Yeah.
And I do want to put that out because I feel that you've been kind of thrown in the middle of that picture.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. But I just don't understand why the perception and optics is, they're very bad at it. They're very bad at it.
Yeah.
And it's whoever they paid, you're horrible.
You can't make a real good dessert when you have crappy ingredients. So that's all there is to it.
I think there's good in all people. And I think at the end of the day, it's a choice to be like this. That's why it is optics. But at the end of the day, when I saw in multiple times now with multiple political elected officials, absolute venom.
Yeah.
Venom is good,
Yeah.
which I got to see last night in the opening night. The movie Venom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mandy would have known what that was. I guess I am with you old guys. I don't watch it either. I don't know what he's talking about.
Anyway, go ahead.
I want to read this. Can I read this?
Please
Be
do.
short.
He's
This is
showing
sort of
me
a shift.
Yeah, you're just bragging.
I don't know
that
where I
you-
got this thing. I didn't write this. Here's what it says. There was a time when our children stood at attention, put their hand on their heart, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. There was a time when strength and honor meant something. There was a time when standing for our flag meant something. There was a time when our history, our heritage was taught with pride and respect. There was a time when respect was given to those who serve, bled, and died to protect and defend our God-given freedom. There was a time when we were grateful. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united under one flag. There was a time when we, the people, decided our future. There was a time when we, the people, had a voice. There was a time when we, the people, were united and strong. Then it recites the Pledge of Allegiance. It's time we, the people, reclaim what is rightfully ours. May God bless America and all those who defend and protect her against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We stand together as patriots. Where we go one, we go all, home of the brave. I just thought that was a very well written
I like
piece.
that. I like that.
I love it
Yep.
because I live by it.
I know you do.
I
That's
live
for you.
by the oath that I've taken of this country, and that's probably my favorite part that I wish I had the body to do is still as a fireman and protect those that can't protect themselves.
You're doing a pretty good job of helping. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Well, so
we appreciate it.
And one,
Appreciate that.
as we're wrapping up, give a little shout out to your organization.
Well, briefly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are interested, quite a few years ago, I actually started an organization called Up With America. You can go to upwithamerica.org. Sometimes I regret the fact that for all sorts of mostly personal reasons, I've sort of let it languish a few times,
Mhm.
but I'm now refocused on it entirely. I'm trying
Yay.
to finish the book. I've got the book about more than halfway done.
Yay.
The book is titled Hyphen Nation, and it's all about how we got here and how we get out of this mess. But Up With America is an organization who's clearly, it's a grassroots organization based on one thing, to celebrate the good things about America and tap into those good things to make things better again. That's what it's about. This thing he's talking about is our litmus test.
I
We
love
have a
that.
bigger one, which we need to start doing, I think, in
Mhm.
political parties. I mean, the Democrats need to do it too. Find only people who believe in giving away everything.
We don't
Okay?
care what the Democrats.
So, and locally,
So
what we
far.
think is, and that nothing will change. And Up With America understands that you can't change Washington until you change Myrtle Beach.
True.
Okay. So the things we're promoting here is term limits for all local and state and federal offices, transparency, spending control, taxes, public safety, campaign finance is a gigantic problem, a
Yeah.
huge problem. In this particular area, hundreds of thousands of dollars are fed into these elected officials, and that's how they vote the way they vote. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. And then ultimately, it all comes down to education. And until we can find a way to teach young people what America's all about, we are never going to get it fixed.
Amen.
Because I'm too old to be doing this. We need young guys. That's why we need Chad and people like him involved. So
Well, I know Ken Richardson. He loves America. So
I think he's going to do a good
I'm
job.
pretty. I don't even have children, but I also understand in coaching kids and what I've done in my life that we're and the way things are going. I'll just put it out there. If anything happens to me, y'all need to know who to look for. I'm apparently upsetting a lot of people, but the children and the people that are teaching these people, our young Americans, they need to love America again.
Yeah.
And I know that's a bedrock of who Ken Richardson is.
Yeah.
And we're going to have that leadership at the superintendent level, at the school board level. And I couldn't be more excited.
Good.
Especially being in the South, hearing kids want to talk about how they don't do this and they don't do that. My concept of the South is a proud people, is a people that will always, more veterans have died from the South than the North.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything against the North. Why can't, that's another show. But there's a lot to be said about the South, and I don't like that change. And I hope Ken and the teachers, the new younger teachers that are out there, will bring that back. It's so important.
Well, I just want people to continue to follow you.
Absolutely.
And just
Can we change your Facebook to the Hoff? I love it.
The Hoff. Yeah.
Hoff.
Have a shirtless Hoff.
We'll get you a
on there.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
We'll do that whole thing.
Yeah, with beer, Hofbrau beer.
So tonight when you're having dinner and your spouse turns to you and says, who is this Steve Hoffman guy? He confuses the heck out of me. You only have to know 3 things. I'm for limited government, respect for individual rights. Remember those inalienable rights?
Inalienable, yes.
And for free market economics. And even though I'm the vice chairman of the Horry County Republican Party, primarily I'm a member of the Republican Liberty Caucus. So I'm sure that'll come up in discussion tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll come up next Monday when they try to remove you as chairman.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, just whatever you say.
Okay.
We'll call it off whatever you want.
And those, the 3 of you that are watching this, next week,
I talked a lot of crap on
That's
Facebook.
right.
We might have more than one.
Yeah, next week we will have a surprise guest. I'm not even telling the panelists about it. More games and a few announcements of interest. So if you're interested at all, please tune in to Liberty on Caffeine. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, everybody, vote. We're
Vote.
on 30
Amen.
days. Find out who your people are and vote for them. Read about them. Look into it. Your vote counts.
Amen.
Ask Trump.